Israeli-American Council billionaires were asked how they buy and influence American politics, and they essentially, Miriam Adelson is a bit mum about it, but they don't deny that this is exactly what they're doing. Now, who are these billionaires? You have Haim Sabin. He's an Israeli-American billionaire media executive. He is an extremely influential political donor, specifically to Democratic politics, whereas Miriam Adelson, they're on the stage with him, donates to Republicans. So both sides there happily getting along, gleefully chatting about how they buy U.S. politicians, both the left and the right, completely bought off by Israeli billionaires. Haim Sabin made his fortune in children's television. You probably know best Power Rangers. He was behind that. He's the founder of Sabin Entertainment, co-founded Univision Communications. He's worth several $1 billion, gives tons of money to the Democratic Party, extremely close to Hillary Clinton and the Clinton political network. And he says he is a one-issue guy. And that issue for him is Israel. Miriam Adelson, on the other hand, is the wife of Sheldon Adelson, who owned casinos, Las Vegas Sands casino billionaires. She's a medical doctor, but her husband owning casinos. Major donor, political donor to the Republican Party in particular, has given hundreds of millions of dollars to Donald Trump, has promised to give him hundreds of millions more if he runs for a third term. She's also a one-issue person, and that is Israel. So when asked, how do you buy and exercise influence over politicians in the U.S., this is what Haim Sabin had to say.
Had many sessions here about how important it is to get involved, to build a relationship with politicians, and to have access. And access and relationship can buy you influence, doesn't mean it's going to buy you. So you both master that. So can you share with us, I want everyone to learn today, how do you start, how do you build a relationship with a politician? I know there is always money involved because that...
He says this, you both mastered that, by the way. He says, you both mastered that, like the buying of American politicians. So how do you do it?
Part of the system. But the relationship is not always just about money, because to have the access and to have the relationship to create an influence, you need not just the money. So we have 4,000 people here. I want them to hear from the best, you and Miri, about how do you do that?
Well, you just get a guy named Epstein and you blackmail them with kitty porn. That's what you do.
Well, Miri and Sheldon Baruch have been much more generous than me, so why don't you turn around and ask them?
Ask her, but you both made a lot of connection and made a big influence.
Now what I gave is this. This is what they gave is this. But it's the same principle. I understand what you're asking.
Well, all right. That's Kim Iverson, who I think is terrific. Anyway, Railtown, we're up to 17,212,000. 17 million. That's a good job you guys have done. I just got home, so I don't really have a whole lot prepared. If there's comments, I'll try to answer those. The timeline, I've been thinking, I've had plenty of time to think about it today at appointments. I think the timeline that we're looking at is another 4 weeks before, I don't know what to call it, kind of a launch. The Sovereign AI factory that TELUS has is already open, so it's kind of a misnomer to say that it would be a launch. But I think what we're waiting on is the rail engine to be ready, and that's end of January according to filings. So it kind of feels like February is the soonest we'll start seeing movement in terms of information that is disclosure of whatever material inside information has been gumming up the works. and then we'd see some buying. But more importantly, I believe it's going to set off a ramping of revenue, which becomes visible, predictable, repeatable, and growing. And anyway, so I come on not so much like I have something new to talk about, just because just have to see it through. Until then, yeah. What I have in my calendar, which is just a wild ass guess, I think that somewhere around the 11th, 12th of February or you could go to Ash Wednesday, I suppose, but it's as good as a timeline. Maybe after Washington's birthday, President's Day. Maybe that week after that is what we have to get to. I don't see any comments, so I guess I might find myself without much of a topic today. One of you guys sent me this, and it's a decent place to start. I can't hit the videos for you, but it's about robotics, and this is where Rail Engine, I think, differentiates Railtown, for the time being anyway, from LangChain. They'll all catch up with each other, but it's a huge market. Harbison, Mr. Harbison sent this to me. Advancing AI for the physical world. And this is what got me interested in about May of last year from Morgan Stanley. This is all about AI 2.0, as Altucher calls it, or AI for everybody, AI for everything, but AI for the physical world. For decades, robots have excelled in structured settings like assembly lines, where everything is predictable. The emergence of vision language action models, VLA, for physical systems is enabling systems to perceive, reason, and act with increasing autonomy alongside humans in environments which have less structure. This is from Ashley Lawrence, Corporate Vice President and Managing Director, Microsoft Research Accelerator. Physical AI, where agentic AI, which is what Railtown does, meets physical systems, robots, for example, is poised to redefine robotics in the same way that generative models have transformed language and vision processing. Today we announce FO. I can't quite read that. Does it say row or FO? Alpha. I think it says FO alpha, but I'm not positive. Our first robotics, maybe row alpha makes better sense. Our first robotics model derived from Microsoft something. I can't read it. Darn it. Let me see if I can see it here. No. Well, we'll just have to, derived from one of the Microsoft platforms of vision language models. We invite organizations interested in evaluating RO, could be FO, but I think it's RO alpha, for their robots and use cases to express interest. I can't read that blue. RO alpha will also be made available via Microsoft Foundry at a later date. RO alpha translates natural language commands, which is what Railtown has developed, where you can give images, talk, commands into control signals for robotic systems performing bimanual manipulation tasks. It can be described as a VLA model in that it expands the set of, this is so hard to read, perceptual and learning modalities beyond those typically used by VLAs. For perception, RO alpha adds something. With efforts underway to accommodate modalities such as force for learning, we are working toward enabling RO alpha to continually improve during deployment by learning from feedback provided by people. It's very, I'm going to skip that. I just can't read it. And it's not so important to get every single detail here. It's all about robotics. It's all about AI going into real use, real-time decision making. And that's what, I'm just not going to read anymore. I'll show you the rest of it, but here's some of the robots. This is Microsoft. And here he says, training foundation models that can reason and act requires overcoming the scarcity of diverse real-world data. By leveraging NVIDIA, Isaac Sim, on Azure to generate physically accurate synthetic data sets, Microsoft Research is accelerating the development of versatile models like RO alpha that can master complex manipulation tasks. And I believe that that capability needs it's all cloud, but it needs it needs a data center. And of course, Microsoft has its own, but it may be, and we'll find out, that Railtown's piece is the interface that makes that work effectively. And, you know, it's an age-old argument. Well, Microsoft can just develop it on their own. Why don't they do that? They don't. They buy both for timing and for keeping it away from their competition, and because they have to use their resources for bigger things. Hey, Jack Hamilton. Hope all's well. Yeah, everything's good. I may not, it doesn't sound like this is the best time to come on, but I didn't want to disappear. You know, I had my appointments today and I got more tomorrow. Today is going to lead to 5 more appointments, but I think it's just life. The decline of well, anyway, you get older. And then I saw that Cody, was it Cody Bellinger signed with the Yankees? And then I guess things went reasonably well in Davos. They're making fun of Trump in the news, so that might mean he's done something good. I don't know. I listened to a little bit of, while I was waiting, I listened to a little bit of the House committee going back and forth, and I didn't understand the side the Democrats were taking. It seemed completely contrary to what they had done when they were in charge, but I don't know. It just goes back and forth. Mexico is sending cartel members to the United States. Swell. But anyway, I wanted to get on just to not ignore this situation we're in. I do think we have to probably plan on mid-February, roughly, but it could be sooner, it could be later, but that's where, based on their filing that they're going to finish Rail Engine by the end of January, give them a week or two. That's mid-February. I don't want to look up the gold price because then I'll see the silver price, break my heart. But somebody sent me that gold is, let me find it. The gold is, here it is. $48.65. $48.65. Unbelievable. I've got to do something with those of you who invested in the gold company that we did. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to bring in the money for finishing the pilot plant. We raised just under $500,000 a year. God, is it 2 years ago? Almost a year and a half ago. Somebody else came in with $1 million on the same terms. And then I thought I was going to be able to raise the 4 or 5 million to get it done. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. That I would have paired that investment with an investment in silver or a private company that I think is going to be taken out. But the private company deal sold out and silver's tripled. So silver, I think silver can double from here before the markets crash. But on the other hand, silver could be volatile too. And so if people can't deal with the volatility in Railtown, I don't know how making the recommendation, put up the money for this gold company and buy silver at $90. that $90 could be $45 in a week. But I think in 6 months to 5 years, it's headed upward and upward and upward. But if people can't deal with short term, 6 month, 9 month, 1 year volatility, that sucks. I know in Railtown, and silver at this price could be that experience all over again, or not. It's just trickier. That's all. But anyway, as I was waiting for, tests, I got this price update at 48.65. Let me just Google it so I don't make it up. What is the average cost of producing or mining? I'll say producing 1 ounce of gold. It's probably going to be 1,200. Let's see. The average cost to produce 1 ounce of gold using all-in sustaining cost metric generally ranges from $1,200 to over $1,900 an ounce. Recent figures $1,300 to $1,900. All right, so let me ask, how much does it cost Gold Strike, Goldstein, no, Gold Strike to produce an ounce of gold in the Carlin trend. It's thinking, searching. The cost to produce 1 ounce of gold at the Gold Strike mine, which is part of the Carlin complex in Nevada, is estimated at $14.60 to $15.60 per ounce on an all-in sustaining cost basis. Gold Strike mine is a core asset of Nevada Gold Mines, a joint venture between Barrick Gold and Newmont. So they give total cash costs $1,070 to $1,150 per ounce. But then when you put in all the costs of sales, it brings it up to $14.70 to $15.70. The Carlin complex, including Gold Strike, remains the largest gold producing complex in the world. Margin potential, with 2026 gold price forecasts ranging from 4,000 to over 5,000 per ounce. The Carlin trend operations maintain robust profit margin despite increased production costs. So they're trying to expand their asset in the Carlin trend downward. They have a bunch of names I've never heard of I guess areas of the prospect that are going to expand. Let me just say, ask them, what is the OPT recovered at Gold Strike, Nevada? I know what it is, but I don't know if this will be able to find it. Okay, in 2026, the recovered ounces per ton at the Gold Strike mine in Nevada, it's the Carlin trend, remains consistent with its historical profile as a large-scale multi-zone operation. The average grade for the combined open pit and underground operations is approximately 0.1 to 0.23 ounces per ton. The mine-wide average is 0.1 ounces per ton. The open pit is that's the number. And the underground portion is higher, that 0.25. The Carlin complex overall, the average grade of proven and probable reserves is estimated at 3.32 grams per ton, roughly 0.107. The metallurgical recovery performance technical limit, advanced processing at the site, including autoclaves and roasters, can achieve gold recovery rates as high as 95%. Well, that's a different measure, obviously. Low-grade leach recovery on lower grade materials or historic leach pads, weighted average gold extractions are around 49% for the material graded above 0.20 grams per ton. Here, I'd like to know more about the reserves. It still holds significant proven and probable gold reserves in the broader Carlin complex. Total proven and probable gold reserves at the Gold Strike. That's the joint operation between Barrick Gold and Newmont. Total proven and probable gold reserves, 26.6 million ounces. 26.6 million ounces. The proven and probable, their grade is roughly 0.10 ounces per ton. What's the life expectancy of Gold Strike? based on current reserves and the broader 10-year production plans of its operator, has a remaining life of 14 to 15 years. It's not very long for investors. 26.6 million ounces. So here's the straight up simple numbers on what you invested in. Just on I'm trying to think how to be completely conservative. There's always risk, of course, but a decade ago or so, a third party proved up 6.6 million ounces of gold in your project, which mine too. 6.6 million ounces of gold. It's the same concept. Now, it's a different methodology to recover, because every I forget the word they use, every resource, that's not what they say, but it's always a different process. But this is, it's similar to the Carlin trend in that it's invisible gold. You can't see it. You have to process it. And the way they do it at Goldstrike in Nevada is they use these huge autoclaves and roasters. It's heat and pressure. And I assume some sort of other acid or something, but it's called it. I don't know what they call it there, but the third party that tested your company's gold used a process called caustic fusion. Caustic fusion, quite brutalist. And I don't think this is giving the correct number, because I studied the annual reports before, but maybe they've improved their technology, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. If they have improved it, that's good for us. But using that standard methodology, kind of brutalist methodology, they were able to get basically 0.04 ounces per ton. I think what they're getting here is 0.033, but they're getting their total numbers. They're mixing apples and oranges a little bit, I think, but it doesn't matter. I just want to give you what the third party proved at your project 15 years ago. They proved going down to 200 feet, 6.6 million ounces of gold to be recovered at 0.04 roughly ounces per ton. Well, fast forward, without going through all the reasons why, after all the testing possible, and basically the only step left is to produce gold in the pilot plant, they are doing 0.2 to 0.25 ounces per ton in gold recovery, right in line with what is happening here at Goldstrike, according to this Google search. I don't quite trust the AI searches, but it's a good place to start. Well, if you take that number just down to the 200 feet, it means that your project has 35 million maybe 36 million ounces of gold recoverable. All that's left at Goldstrike is 26.6 million ounces of gold. I'm sure they'll find more. As prices go up, you can find more. But that's the basic premise. The fallback position here is to sell it to Goldstrike, sell it to Barrick Gold and to Newmont Mining, just based on those numbers. Now they don't pay all of that up front. They give you a certain amount up front, or maybe you JV it with them. If and they did drill 2 or 4 sonic holes to 400 feet. If you doubled it by going to 400 feet, you've got 70 million ounces of gold there. And obviously, it can go down 600, 800 feet, and it can also be drilled in between and to either side. So the upside there is just gigantic. But just sticking with the 6.6 million ounces of gold, not 35 million. Just stick with the 6.6 million ounces of gold. And if you apply, instead of 1,500 as your all-in cost, call it 1,800. That means you've got $3,000 in profit per ounce of gold recovered. And there's many steps to execution and all that. But 3,000 ounces of profit, cash flow, on 6,600,000 ounces is 20 million in 20 billion, sorry, 20 billion in profit. Now, I don't understand it. There is risk, of course, but it doesn't look, these numbers don't entice, I guess. But that's using the 6.6 million ounces of gold. If you assume that the grade is multiplied by 5, you know, you've got 100 billion in 100 billion. In future profits. Now there's a lot of way to get there, and if you JV it, we're not going to get it all. But what I'm concerned with is 2 things: private equity coming in. I don't think they're there yet on this project because it's not well known. I don't think yet. But the other problem is, I think this guy who tried to just take the company is going to come back and cap us out. And so what I'd like to do, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it, maybe, my dilemma is, I think the best investment out there right now is Railtown. But if you can buy into this at 4 cents a share, and you're actually doubling it up with the warrants, in a way you're buying at 2 cents, but just ignore doubling it up. You're buying it at 4 cents, and it can go to $20. That's a huge upside, 500x. But remember, if you JV it, they're going to take at least half of that. Or if you sell it early, you're not going to get all of that. So, maybe you get 100x or 200x. I think you're going to get 100x in Railtown. But I would love to be able to provide the company some money so that after this summer's deadlines for licensing and all those fees come by, they're confident they can wait for us. Maybe if our 15 million, 17 million shares of Railtown go up, we can provide the next 4 million for this. So anyway, I got to figure out how to bridge that. Because it doesn't all have to go in at once. It can be, it's got to be promised, but it can be in escrow, or it can be tied to milestones. But it's just huge upside, and it's gold. I mean, anyway, I got to figure out what I need to do. The simplest thing to work on is for people that are already invested in it. I don't want to distract from Railtown, or people that are interested. You could email me. I can try to call you, but I'm concerned about my communication. I did pay several of my bills, but my phone might go out soon. I think it'd be great to be able to offer 50 or 100 grand to them, to give them strength in their negotiations and hold this other guy off. I mean, it'll still be 10-1 on our money if everything works, but we'll be taking all the risk, and he gets all the upside. I mean, the basic deal is he'll pay off everything outstanding. He'll build the plant. He'll produce. So he may end up putting 5, 10, 20 million in over time. Who knows? But he won't put that all in up front, only as things work. And he's worth, I forget what I was told, 400 billion or something, or his company's worth 400 billion. 400 million, I think. 400 million. I don't think it was 400 billion. I can't remember. One of those, million or billion. But to do it, he would cap us off. We could get 0 if it all failed. If it works, we'd get capped at 40 cents. So we'd make 10 times our money. Anyway, I don't know. I don't have a strategy right now, but several of you have indicated you'd be willing to put up more money. I'm torn because I think we should focus on Railtown, but somehow I'd like to keep this alive. And so I'd say it's worth calling the company if I had somewhere between 25 and 50,000 of new money people are willing to put up. I don't know if calling with 10 grand is going to do it. And I'm going to have egg off on my face. I've vouched for this other money coming in, and I've already made one attempt to speak to the company without any response. I'm going to be looked at like a complete I don't know what, like, you know, a day late and $1 short, you know, promising some. I never really promised it, but I fought for it, and it didn't come through. So I don't think if I called with 5 or 10,000, they're going to talk to me. But 25, 50, 75, 100, that might be getting us somewhere. And I'm working on 2 other large sources of capital. I haven't spoken to them in 2 years, so I don't know how to go. But one's a gold company, and one's a wealthy investor, really wealthy investor. That's half of his assets are in gold. So we'll see. Anyway, sorry, I got off on that. Let's, the key thing is, though, to remember gold prices, incredible where gold prices are. Donna M., good evening, William. I hope you had a good day. Hello, Jack. Virginia is going to hell, I'm reading. Are you talking about the ice storm, or you're talking about the new governor? I forget her name. And they just had a Democrat win a special election. So I think that breaks the balance in the state legislature. Virginia is a mix. I mean, I would say Virginia is a really conservative state, except for Northern Virginia and all those counties tied to the government. I don't know about Norfolk or Richmond, but I would tend to think they're mostly, I don't know about Norfolk, but the rest of the state's pretty conservative. Jack Hamilton, good evening. What's going on in Virginia? Donna, our governor and the Democrats are in the news. Woke idiots. I know. There's a woman out there. I think her name is Helen. I might have mentioned her before. Let me see if I can find her name. She wrote an article, and she's younger than I am. Helen Andrews, and she wrote an article called "The Great Feminization." And I don't want to get off on my view that it's this huge experiment, but what she noticed, and she studied it, she's a scholar, and she thinks wokeism came, she doesn't think it's a coincidence that wokeism has come as the majority of law students, medical students, the majority of journalists and the New York Times and other newsrooms, even in our legislatures, judges. I don't know if the majority of judges yet are female, but it's coming. And the majority of lawyers, new lawyers, are female. Anyway, she thinks this is what happens when institutions, most colleges, universities, are majority female. And so she thinks that this is what happens when you have, in general, not specific people, but in general, the feminization of institutions leads to wokeism. That's her premise. And it's interesting. That's Helen Andrews, The Great Feminization. Jack, I'm still leaning toward the Microsoft buyout. Yeah, I've been thinking about that too. I stand by my high numbers, but if Microsoft buys it early, it could be $10, $15 a share range. And that'd still be good, I guess. But a lot of that upside would happen as a division of Microsoft. It'd be like that Google chart that I showed you the other day. I didn't, Mr. Harbison sent it. But, you know, the value of the technology would go up inside of Microsoft instead of as we own the shares. But we really can't control that. It just depends if there's a bidding war or not and what time they sell it. In many ways, it'll be an art. Well, that's the wrong way to say it. I was going to say it's an art, not a science. That's the wrong way to say it. But the trade-off is just getting it done, because if they wait too long and all the markets crash, if they wait a year and the stock market collapses by 90%, they're not going to get the deal done. So it's just a trade-off. CJ Yukon, good evening. But yeah, Jack, I'm leaning toward Microsoft buyout because I think it's going to be a race it is a race amongst the hyperscalers. And it's happening on levels I don't understand. I try to learn, but to be able to buy the technology and then improve it in-house, buy the revenues, buy the customers, I think is going to be important as Microsoft tries to compete worldwide. I mean, look what Elon Musk is doing in Tennessee, and look what I can't remember the difference. One of the Gulf countries is using a different chip altogether. This is a competition worldwide, and to the extent that Railtown adds value, it's going to get bought out. And I think the Canadian sovereignty issue is the play. So that's TELUS. But as Bell Canada brings on data centers, as Rogers Communications brings on data centers, those could be buyers. They're certainly competitors. But the biggest hyperscaler, I don't know how to Google it, in Canada is Microsoft right now. Maybe the way to Google it would be to say, I don't know how to ask the question. But Microsoft wants to win, so I think it's an obvious buyer. Hey, Pat, how are you? Hey, Steve. Uncle Bill added more today. I did add your 2355. That's in this number right here, 17,212,752 shares. And you did wow, Steve, that's great. That's how to do it. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. And 50 isn't fatal. I actually think you're 48, though, not 49. Eddie Rawlings, your shitty apps, Gov. Your shitty apps, Gov. I don't know the context of that. Krypton was able to grab 1,000 more. That's great, Krypton. That is great. You're going to be glad. I saw that Tony is having some sort of space confab on AME, GMC, and OpBop or something, and then Railtown. And I just caution you. I mean, you're welcome to listen to him, and he's got his point of view, and but I just caution you. Railtown is better than those other stocks he's mentioning. He's going to come at you, in my opinion, This is just like one of the others. And when it works, it was his idea. Remember, he trashed me. He trashed me, made fun of me for a month without even doing any due diligence. Those are my signals whose side he's on. But anyway, his goal is going to be to get you to move from that into something like GameStop, which I don't know. Has that helped you? I guess you might have made money day trading it, but most of you aren't day traders. Ward Richardson bought 4,000. Wow. Let me just see how long that was. There was one thing happened the other day that for me, you guys probably are too young to remember him. But let me just see if, as long as it's not long, I guess I don't have to play it for very long. It's not long.
A German language
But
newspaper
it's
published in Canada. The legendary Swiss author Erich von Däniken has died at the age of 90. Author of 49 books on the subject of paleo-contact. That's the theory that our ancestors had contact with other civilizations in the deep past. He is the grandfather of that whole genre and a person to whom I am enormously indebted. The author of the blockbusting Chariots of the Gods and its 48 sequels began his journey into the world of paleo-contact very early on. At high school, he was in a Swiss Roman Catholic Jesuit-run high school, a school with superb academic credentials.
all right. Let's not waste your time with that. But Erich von Däniken died, and it's a shame. He died on January 10th. He never gave up his belief in God or his Catholicism. But he did notice that I guess in the book of Enoch, is that it? This loud machine comes down from heaven. He thinks it's a machine, makes sense to me. And this God or Lord says to Enoch, human. And he always said, if it's God, how didn't he know his name? Or how did he not know his name? That's what got him started. But I thought that was a sign of me getting old, I guess. I read Chariots of the Gods when I was in high school. Or maybe, no, it wasn't college. It was in high school. Maybe it was during the summer. There was an AI thing I wanted to show you, but I can't find it. And I'm not sure I want to spend the time right now doing it. We'll do it tomorrow. Well, problem is I got another doctor's appointment tomorrow. I'm going to have these for a while. What is the one tomorrow? Oh, God. I'll get through it. I'm not Not enjoying this, but I'm going to go through it. Yeah, I showed you that one. There was one about RAG, and there was another one about. Anyway, I'll go through them. I'll go through them again before. I won't do it tonight because I don't know which one I wanted to show you. All right, let's keep going. You're 47. Oh my gosh. Well, 50 still not fatal. You're gonna be, if I'm right, Steve, you're gonna have a hell of a portfolio. But the key is, I guess, two things. One, don't let it go to your head. And two, try to leave it as an asset, however we end up structuring it, for at least a year. Don't go spending it and blowing it. And if you become which is entirely possible, become a multimillionaire in significant size, that becomes your friend. And if you can treat it that way, the way old money treats money, so that you don't lose it, your life is going to be secured for the remainder. And you're a young man, very young man. Of course, I remember when I was your age, I felt like I was old. But I had a young girlfriend. Maybe that's why. But it's also, I just felt like I was old. Anyway, I don't know what else to talk about. Ward, I looked to see if you sent me anything to go with. It didn't really show anything. And let me see if Corey put up anything on his LinkedIn. Exciting announcement, Mila, 13 minutes ago. But he didn't publish it. A guy named Joe Castellado did. But let's see what it says. Exciting announcement, Mila, Quebec Artificial Intelligence Institute and Innovia Capital company, I guess, well, maybe "and" is not what they meant to type. Innovia Capital, with the collaboration of Vector Institute, AMI, Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, McGill University, and Université de Montréal, announced the creation of the Venture Scientist Fund, a $100 million fund to invest in frontier AI, and the venture scientist is building it. This has been months of work by an amazing team, including Valerie Pisano, Stéphane Letourneau, Stéphane Massot, Chris Asano, Isaac Suwin, Jonathan Shannon, Andrzej, AJ, Edgebon, and many more. Thank God. If there are any more I couldn't pronounce. So the AI Institute is partnering with Innovia Capital to raise a $100 million venture capital fund with plans to invest in more than 55 early stage AI companies. All right, so Corey reposted that today, just minutes ago. He also 2 days ago posted that Railtown Technologies are thrilled to announce or share that Railtown is proudly partnering with the Agenix Foundation as a sponsor for the inaugural Vancouver meetup, a grassroots gathering of developers, researchers, and AI enthusiasts focused on open, hands-on skill building and community-driven innovation in agentic AI. The foundation is dedicated to making AI innovation open to everyone, supporting except for Donald Trump and Americans. Just kidding. Supporting the development and deployment of open source agentic AI systems. As part of this global network, Railtown will be on the ground in Vancouver, helping to foster skill development and resource creation, all grounded in open source values and AI safety. We're honored to join a community who is helping shape the next era of AI talent, helping to ignite innovation and to expand opportunity across the agentic AI field. Sounds good? Sounds good. All right, so let's see what else he said. This stack of minis just replaced a massive Google Cloud bill. This is by Zach Ratner, CTO and co-founder of Yembo. There's 3 Mac minis, just replaced a massive Google Cloud bill. We often default to cloud APIs for AI workloads because they are easy, but easy gets expensive. Specifically, Google speech to text costs 0.016 per minute, pennies. When you are processing thousands of hours of audio, that destroys your margins. Last Friday, I migrated a production workload off Google and onto the hardware you see in the photo. They had Mac Mini M4 Pros. These machines are efficiency monsters. A single M4 Pro can handle 20 concurrent calls at 2x real-time speed. We're using Whisper for the transcription core. And then they use Kubernetes in AWS. It's too confusing. I'm seeing if they say they're using Railtown. They just use these 3 Mac minis. But Corey reposted it and liked it, so I guess it's good for Railtown. Corey didn't say why. All right, let's see what else he put up there. How do I get back to Corey? All right, here we go. All right. Everybody's talking about AI in Trucking. Corey reposted that. The interesting part isn't routes or speed, it's what AI exposes when trucks aren't moving. Idle downtime, parked assets. That's where a lot of the quiet costs lives. Who is John Galt? That's the whole thing they did. Keep the trains moving. Well, I guess I'm not signed in. I'm not seeing what his recent activity is. I'm not seeing anything more. All right, I can't get any more on Corey's. Let me see if I can do it a different way. I can't do it. I can't do it. Steve, my body is starting to feel it, but my heart is young. No. Stay young. Stay young. Don't get like me. Don't get like me. Old. It's not worth it. Getting old is not worth it. But yeah, anyway, I don't know what else to talk about. Tomorrow, I doubt I'm going to be able to. Well, let me just add this up. 1, 2. I can probably come on by 3 o'clock tomorrow, maybe 2:30 tomorrow. And maybe I'll have some things ready. But unless people have questions, I don't really have more comments. I do think that what I just read to you, they are getting that story out there. And it might be slow at first, but if it catches a little bit of purchase, it'll start being reflected in the stock price. I don't know what else to. I should have been more prepared, I guess. I was hoping that one of you would get me off and running. Let me see if I can go try Corey again. If I go. Okay, here, maybe this will do it. See all posts, maybe? Show all posts. That's what I want. Show all posts. All right, I read you the. So Dr. Tom Core says, great insight, Corey, and congratulations on the announcement of the new Railtown AI agents development platform. Deloitte, Bain, and others have researched the effect of AI agents on SaaS applications, and they have concluded that it is expected to have a profound impact on the way these applications operate. AI agents can automate tasks, replicate workflows, and perform decision-making processes which were previously handled by human operators. As a result, the Railtown AI products are expected to lead to a more intelligent, personalized, adaptive, and autonomous SaaS environment, which would include, this is written by Dr. Tom Core, automation of tasks. AI agents can automate routine tasks and workflows, reducing the need for human intervention, and it increases efficiency. Personalization and adoption. AI agents can learn from user interactions and adopt their services to provide more personalized experiences. Autonomy and decision making. AI agents can make decisions autonomously, improving the responsiveness and accuracy of SaaS applications. Redefining business models. The introduction of AI agents could change traditional pricing models, moving toward usage and outcome-based pricing. Enhancing partner ecosystems. AI agents can create smart, self-running ecosystems that enhance interoperability and integration between SaaS and partner networks. The adoption of AI agents in SaaS applications is expected to reshape the software landscape, potentially leading to a new era of self-orchestrating systems which can operate seamlessly across applications and data sources. AIP is excited to be part of the Railtown AI family and have the opportunity to address the exciting market shifts happening because of the incredible adoption rate of the AI and the market-leading products developed by Railtown AI. That's what Dr. Corey Brandolini said, Dr. Tom Core said. They launched RailWorks. They got a lot of rail things going on. That's a week ago. Launched RailWorks. I already read that one to you, though. And then I read you that one. All right, so not much going on. But those were both good, I thought. I'll just check again. Yeah. 2 months ago, he put up the conductor MCP server. And Marwan Haddad put up something 2 months ago about Amy. I read this to you before, but it's a great headline from Saeed Atufat Shamsi, the AI and digital transformation executive at TELUS. With immense pride and excitement, I am thrilled to share that TELUS Sovereign AI Factory has been named Canada's fastest and most powerful supercomputer by the prestigious Top 500 list, which ranks the world's 500 most powerful computing systems. This recognition is testament to Canada's growing leadership in advanced technology. It highlights that Canadian-built and managed infrastructure can achieve world-class performance while ensuring that data research and economic value remain securely within our borders. A huge congratulations to everybody. So they're going to come to this TELUS Sovereign AI factory because it's been named Canada's fastest and most powerful supercomputer. But they'll stay for Railtown. All right, so maybe we won't have a long night. Let me see what everybody's saying. Hey, T. Alex. Good evening to you. T. Alex. TELUS ranks 21st on Corporate Knights 2026 Global 100 list of most sustainable companies. That's good. Wow. Oh, I was going to play. That's the one I was going to play. I'm too tired to do it. Jensen Hung spoke at Davos today. I wanted to play it. Jensen Huang quoted saying, "We're going to spend $85 trillion in the next 10 years building AI infrastructure." I listened to Trump, I did it in my earpiece. Trump answering questions, but also the back and forth. I'm sure I missed part of it, but it's pretty clear that one of the possible ways out of our massive debt situation is going to be AI. T. Alex, TELUS higher ranking reflects improvements in digital health. There might be a transaction in digital health coming, but got to get through this one. Energy efficiency. Yeah, I've heard their and emissions reductions. They use hydropower, and I think their cost of power is half. Looks like Railtown is in a good collaboration with TELUS. Yes, I think so. Let's just see if I can find this Jensen video. I don't know if I can. I really just came on to make sure that I'm not ignoring everybody. I didn't have time to gather my ducks in a row. But I think I did have, oh, here it is. Let's see what he says. We can watch a little bit of it.
Good morning, everyone. It's really nice to be back here at Congress Hall. Hopefully everybody had a good day yesterday and are enjoying it today. It is my real pleasure to introduce Jensen Huang, who is somebody I admire, somebody I've watched, and somebody who has been a teacher to me on the journey of learning about technology and AI. It is amazing watching how he led NVIDIA. And I don't measure myself on comparisons, but I like this one comparison. So since NVIDIA has been public, which was in 1999, same year as BlackRock. Oh boy. Okay. Now, NVIDIA's total return for its shareholders has been a compounded 30%, 37%. Just think about that. What would that mean to every pension fund if they invested in NVIDIA as an IPO? The amount of successes we have with everybody's retirement. At the same time, BlackRock's annualized total return has been 21%. Not so bad for a financial services company, but it certainly pales. And so that is just a really great indication of Jensen's leadership, the positioning of NVIDIA, and also it is a great statement about what the world believes in the future of NVIDIA. So Jensen, congratulations on that journey, and I know we have many more years of that journey ahead of us.
Thank you. I appreciate that. My only regret was at the IPO, after the IPO, I wanted to buy my parents something nice. And so I sold NVIDIA stock at a valuation of $300 million. The company was at a valuation of $300 million, and I bought them a Mercedes S-Class. It is the most expensive car in the world. They regret it.
Do they still have it?
Oh, sure. Yeah, they still have it. Yeah.
Good. Let me go into the subject matter now, but I just want to say, the debate on AI is about how it's going to change the world and the global economy. Today, I want to talk about how AI can add to the world economy, and how AI can increasingly become a foundational technology that everyone in this room can be utilizing, enhancing our lives, enhancing the lives of everyone in the world. And we need to talk about how it's going to reshape productivity, labor, infrastructure across virtually every other sector. But importantly, how it's going to reshape the world, and how can more segments of the world benefit from AI, and how can we ensure that we have a broadening of the global economy, not a narrowing of the global economy. And I can't think of another person who has a clearer view on not just what AI is, but the infrastructure around it, the infrastructure that is necessary to build around it. And because so many of the major hyperscalers are utilizers of what NVIDIA creates, and the whole engagement around the infrastructure around AI and the potential of AI, I think we have a great voice to listen to this afternoon or this morning. So Jensen, once again, thank you. This is his first time here at the World Economic Forum in Davos, and I know you have a really busy schedule, so thank you for taking that time.
I appreciate that.
So let me go right into it. Why do you believe that AI has the potential to be that significant engine of growth? And what makes this moment, this technology, different than past technology cycles?
Yeah, this is first of all, when you think about AI and you're interacting with AI in all these different ways, ChatGPT, of course, using Gemini, of course, using Anthropic, Claude, of course, and the magical things that it could do, it's helpful to reason back to the first principles of fundamentally what is happening to the computing stack. This is a platform shift. A platform is something where applications are built on top of. And this is a platform shift like the platform shift to PCs. New applications were developed to run on a new type of computer. A platform shift to the internet, a new type of computing platform, hosted all kinds of new applications. A platform shift to mobile cloud. In each and every one of these platform shifts, the computing stack was reinvented and new applications were created. This is a new platform shift in the sense that today you're using ChatGPT. It's important to understand that itself is an application, but very importantly, new applications will be built on top of ChatGPT. New applications will be built on top of Anthropic Claude, for example. And so it's a platform shift in that way. AI is really easy to understand if you realize what it can do that you could never do before. Software in the past was effectively pre-recorded. Humans would type and describe the algorithm or the recipe for the computer to execute. it was able to process structured information, meaning you've got to put the name, the address, their account number, their age, where they live, these structured tables that software would then go and retrieve information from. We call it SQL queries. SQL is the single most important database engine the world's ever known. Almost everything ran on SQL before now. Now we have a computer that can understand unstructured information, meaning it can look at an image and understand it. It could look at text and understand it. It's completely unstructured. It could listen to sound and understand it, understand the meaning of it, understand the structure of it, and reason about what to do about it. And so for the first time, we now have a computer that is not pre-recorded, but it's processed in real time, meaning that it's able to take the context of the circumstance, whatever the environmental information, the contextual information, and whatever information you give it, it could reason about what is the meaning of that information and reason about your intent, which could be described in a really unstructured way. You describe it however you want to describe it. We call it prompts, but you describe it however you like to describe it. And to the extent that it can understand your intention, it could perform a task for you. Now, the important thing about this is that because we're reinventing that entire computing stack, the question is, what is AI? You're asked, when you think about AI, you think about the AI models. But it's really important to understand industrially, AI is actually essentially a 5-layer cake. At the bottom is energy. AI, because it's processed in real time and it generates intelligence in real time, it needs energy to do so. Energy is the first layer. The second layer is the layer that I live in. It's chips and computing infrastructure. The next layer above it is the cloud infrastructure, the cloud services. The layer above that is the AI models. This is where most people think AI is. But don't forget that in order for those models to happen, you have to have all of the layers underneath it. But the most important layer, and this is the layer that's happening right now, the reason why last year was an incredible year, frankly, for AI, is that the AI models made so much progress that the layer above it, which is ultimately the layer that we all need to succeed, the application layer above that. And so this application layer could be in financial services, it could be in healthcare, it could be in manufacturing. This layer on top ultimately is where economic benefit will happen. But the important thing, though, because this computing platform requires all of the layers underneath it, it has started, and everybody's seeing it right now, it has started the largest infrastructure build out in human history. We're now a few $100 billion into it. We're a few $100 billion into it. Larry and I, we get the opportunity to work on many projects together. There are trillions of dollars of infrastructure that needs to be built out. And it's sensible. It's sensible because all of these contexts have to be processed so that the models can generate the intelligence necessary to power the applications that ultimately sit on top. And so when you go back and when you reason about it layer by layer by layer, and you realize that the energy sector is now seeing extraordinary growth. The chip sector, TSMC just announced they're going to build 20 new chip plants. Foxconn working with us and Wistron and Quanta building 30 new computer plants, which then go into these AI factories. So we have chip factories, computer factories, and AI factories all being built around the world. And memory, right, exactly. There's chip fabs. Micron started investing $200 billion in the United States. SK Hynix is doing incredibly. Samsung is doing incredibly. You can see that entire chip layer growing incredibly today. And now, of course, we pay a lot of attention to the model layer, but it's really exciting that the layer above them is really doing fantastically. And now, one indicator is where the VC funding going into. Last year, 2025, was one of the largest years in VC funding ever. And last year, most of the funding went to what is called AI native companies. These are companies in healthcare, they're company in robotics, and company in manufacturing, financial services, all of the large industries in the world. You're seeing huge investments going in to those AI natives because for the first time, the models are good enough to build on top of.
So let's just dive a little further. Obviously, everybody, I'm sure, uses their own chat bot and getting information. But you're talking about the dispersion of AI is going to be the key. Let's talk about go into a little more upside ideas related to the dispersion of it in the physical world. You mentioned, obviously, that healthcare is a great example of that. But where do you see the transformational opportunities in areas like transportation or science?
Well, last year, I would say last year, I would say three major things happened in AI, in the AI technology layer, the model layer. The first one is that the models themselves started out being curious and interesting, but they hallucinated a great deal. And last year, we can all reasonably accept that these models are better grounded. They could do research. They can reason about circumstances that maybe they weren't trained on, break it down into step-by-step reasoning steps, and come up with a plan to answer your question, do your research, or perform the task. So last year, we saw the evolution of language models becoming AI systems that we call agentic systems, agentic AI. The second major breakthrough is the breakthrough of open models. Several years ago, was it a year ago? DeepSeek came out, and DeepSeek was, a lot of people were quite concerned about it. Frankly, DeepSeek was a huge event for most of the industries, most of the companies around the world, because it's the world's first open reasoning model. Since then, a whole bunch of open reasoning models have emerged, and open models has enabled companies and industries, researchers, educators, universities, startups to be able to use these open models to start something and create something that's domain specific or specialized for their needs. The third area that had enormous progress last year was the concept of physical intelligence, of physical AI. AI that understands not just language, but AI understands, if you will, nature. And it could be AI that understands the physical world here, AIs that understand proteins, chemicals, natural physics of physics, for example, fluid dynamics, particle physics, quantum physics, AIs that are now learning all these different structures and different languages, if you will. Proteins is essentially a language. And so all of these AIs are now making such enormous progress that these industries, industrial companies, whether it's manufacturing or drug discovery, are really making great progress. And one of the great indicators is a partnership that we had with Lilly, that they realize now that AI has made such extraordinary progress in understanding the structure of proteins and the structure of chemicals, essentially being able to interact and talk to the proteins like we talk to ChatGPT. We're going to see some really great big breakthroughs.
So all these breakthroughs raises concerns about the human element. You and I have had many conversations on this, but we need to tell the whole audience there is a huge concern that AI is going to displace jobs. And you've been arguing the opposite. Obviously, the build out of AI, as you talked about, the biggest infrastructure build out in history is going to occur, which
energy is creating jobs. Chips industry is creating jobs. The infrastructure layer is creating jobs. Land, power, and shell. Jobs. I mean, right? It's incredible.
So let's get into that in a little more detail. So you actually believe we're going to face labor shortages. And so how do you see that AI and robotics changing the nature of work rather than eliminating it?
Yeah, there's several different ways that we could think through it. First of all, this is the largest infrastructure build out in human history. That's going to create a lot of jobs. And it's wonderful that the jobs are related to tradecraft, and we're going to have plumbers and electricians and construction and steel workers and network technicians and people who install and fit out the equipment, and all of these jobs. We're going to in the United States, we're seeing quite a significant boom in this area. Salaries have gone up, nearly doubled, and so we're talking about six-figure salaries for people who are building chip factories or computer factories or AI factories, and we have a great shortage in that. And I'm really delighted to see so many people in so many countries really recognizing this important area. You know, everybody should be able to make a great living. You don't need to have a PhD in computer science to do so. And so I'm delighted to see that. The second thing to realize, and so we theorize about the automation of tasks and things like that, and what is the implication to jobs. I'll just offer some anecdotes. These are real world anecdotes of what has actually happened. Remember 10 years ago, one of the first professions that everybody thought was going to get wiped out was radiology. And the reason for that was the first AI that became superhuman in capability was computer vision. And one of the largest applications of computer vision is studying scans by radiologists. Well, 10 years later, it is true that AI has now completely permeated and diffused into every aspect of radiology. And it is true that radiologists use AI to study scans now. The impact is 100%, and the impact is completely real. However, not surprisingly, I say not surprisingly, if you reason from first principles, not surprisingly, the number of radiologists have gone up.
Is that because of lack of trust or is that because the human interaction with the results of AI
Exactly.
is a better outcome?
Exactly. The reason for that is because a radiologist, their job, the purpose of their job is to diagnose disease, to help patients diagnose disease. That's the purpose of their job. The task of the job includes studying scans. The fact that they're able to study scans now infinitely fast allows them to spend more time with patients, diagnosing their disease, interacting with the patients, interacting with other clinicians. Well, surprisingly, also not surprisingly actually, as a result of that, the number of patients that the hospital can see has gone up. Because there are a lot of people waiting a long time to get their scans done. And so now, because the number of patients have gone up, the revenues of the hospital has gone up, they hire more radiologists. This is the same thing that's happening to nurses. We're 5 million nurses short in the United States. As a result of using AI to do the charting and the transcription of the patient visits, nurses spend half of their time charting. And now they could use AI technology, and one particular company, Abridge, a partner of ours, doing incredible work. As a result of that, the nurses could spend more time visiting patients.
Human touch.
That's right. And because you can now see more patients, and we're no longer less bottlenecked by the number of nurses, more patients could get into the hospital sooner. As a result, hospitals do better. They hire more nurses. And so, surprisingly, AI is increasing their not surprisingly, AI is increasing their productivity. As a result, the hospitals are doing better. They want to hire more people. You have too many people waiting too long to get into hospitals. And so these are two perfect examples. Now, the easiest way to think about what is the impact of AI on a particular job is to understand whether the job, what is the purpose of the job, and what is the task of the job. If you just put a camera on the two of us and just watched us, you would probably think the two of us are typists because I spend all of my time typing. And so if AI could automate so much word prediction and help us type, then we would be out of jobs. But obviously that's not our purpose. And so the question is, what is the purpose of your job? In the case of radiologists and nurses, is to care for people. And that purpose is enhanced and made more productive because the task has been automated. And so to the extent that you can reason about each one of the people's purpose versus the task, I think it's a helpful framework.
Let's move this beyond the developed economies. Help me understand how AI is at a broad the world and help the world. I read an Anthropic piece this past weekend that basically said the utilization of AI most recently is very dominant by the educated society. And they're even seeing the educated component of each society being heavily more utilized. Obviously, they're using it against their own model Claude, so maybe it may have its own biases. So how do we ensure that AI is a transformational technology, maybe like what Wi-Fi and 5G was for the emerging world? And when you intersect that, what does it mean for the emerging world? And how do we broaden the global economy? And two, getting back to the whole job situation with robotics and AI, there is going to be some substitution there. And there's substitution in the United States already going on. We may be creating more plumbers and electricians, but we probably need less analysts at financial institutions. Lawyers need less analysts, because they're able to accumulate the data faster. So let's just pivot on to the emerging world for a second, in the developing world. How do you see that play out?
Well, first of all, AI is infrastructure, and there's not one country in the world I can't imagine that you need to have AI as part of your infrastructure, because every country has its electricity, you have your roads, you should have AI as part of your infrastructure. Of course, you could always import AI, but AI is not so incredibly hard to train these days, and because there's so many open models, these open models with your local expertise, you should be able to create models that are helpful to your own country. And so I really believe that every country should get involved to build AI infrastructure, build your own AI, take advantage of your fundamental natural resource, which is your language and culture, develop your AI, continue to refine it, and have your national intelligence be part of your ecosystem. And so I think that's number one. And number two, remember, AI is super easy to use. It is the easiest software to use in history, and that's the reason why it's the fastest growing and most rapidly adopted. I mean, in just a couple of 2-3 years, it's coming up to almost a billion people. I think, first of all, Claude is incredible. Anthropic has made a huge progress, huge leap in developing Claude. We use it all over our company. The coding capability of Claude, its reasoning capability, its ability is just really incredible. And anybody with a software company really ought to get involved and use it. On the other hand, ChatGPT is probably the most successful consumer AI in history. And its ease of use and its approachability, I think everybody should get involved. And whether it's somebody in a developing country or a student, it is very clear that it is essential to learn how to use AI, how to direct an AI, how to prompt an AI, how to manage an AI, how to guardrail the AI, evaluate the AI. These skills are no different than leading people, managing people, things that you and I do all the time. So in the future, instead of biological, carbon-based AIs, in the future we're also going to have digital versions of AIs, silicon versions of AIs, and we'll have to manage them. They're just part of our digital workforce, if you will. And so I would advocate that for the developing countries, build your infrastructure, get engaged in AI, and recognize that AI is likely to close the technology divide.
Right.
Because it is so easy to use and so abundant and so accessible. And so, I'm actually fairly optimistic about the potential of AI to lift the countries that are emerging. And for many people who haven't had computer science degree, all of you can be programmers now. And so in the past we had to learn how to program a computer. Now you program a computer by saying to the computer, "How do I program you?" And if you don't know how to use an AI, just go up to the AI and say, "I don't know how to use an AI. How do I use an AI?" And it would explain it to you. And you say, "I like to write a program to create my own website. How do I do that?" And it says it would ask you a whole bunch of questions about what kind of website you would like to build, and then write you the code. And so it is that easy to use, And that's, of course, the incredible power of AI, which is exciting.
Two quick questions, then we're going to run out of time. We're sitting here in Europe. When we were talking about a lot of companies, we mentioned a lot of U.S. companies and Asian companies. Talk to us about how AI and the success of Europe and the future of Europe can intersect. How do you see NVIDIA play that role here in Europe?
Well, I have the benefit. NVIDIA has the benefit of working with every AI company in the world, and because we're low in the infrastructure layer, and we power AI across the board, and we power AI that are languages, their biology, their physics, their world models, and related to manufacturing and robotics, and the thing that's really quite exciting for Europe is, remember, your industrial base is so strong. The industrial manufacturing base in Europe is incredibly strong. This is your opportunity to now lead past the era of software. The United States really led the era of software. AI is software that doesn't need to write software. You don't write AI, you teach AI. And so get in early now so that you can now fuse your industrial capability, your manufacturing capability with artificial intelligence, and that brings you into the world of physical AI or robotics. Robotics is a once in a generation opportunity for the European nations, and whether it's all of the countries that I visit here, industrial base is really strong. The other thing to realize is that so much of the deep sciences are still very strong here in Europe. And the deep sciences now have the benefit of applying artificial intelligence to accelerate your discovery. And so I think that it's fairly certain that you have to get serious about increasing your energy supply so that you could invest in the infrastructure layer so that you could have a rich ecosystem of artificial intelligence here in Europe.
What I'm hearing is we're far from an AI bubble. The question is, are we investing enough? Let's turn it around, because there's so many people talking about a bubble, but the question is, what I'm hearing from you is, are we investing enough to do what we need to do to broaden the global economy?
And so one good test on the AI bubble is to recognize that NVIDIA has now millions of NVIDIA GPUs in the cloud. We're in every cloud, we're used everywhere. And if you try to rent an NVIDIA GPU these days, it's so incredibly hard. And the spot price of GPU rentals is going up. Not just the latest generation, but 2-generation-old GPUs. The spot price of rentals are going up. And the reason for that is because the number of AI companies that are being created, the number of companies shifting their R&D budget. Lilly is a great example. 3 years ago, most of their R&D budget, all of their R&D budget, was probably wet labs. Notice the big AI supercomputer that they've invested in, the big AI lab. Increasingly, that R&D budget is going to shift towards AI. And so the AI bubble comes about because the investments are large. And the investments are large because we have to build the infrastructure necessary for all of the layers of AI above it. And so I think the opportunity is really quite extraordinary. And everybody ought to get involved. Everybody ought to get engaged. We need more energy. I think that we all recognize that. We need more land power and shell. We need more trade skill workers. And in fact, that population of workforce is so strong here in Europe. In a lot of ways, the United States lost that in the last 20, 30 years. But it's still incredibly strong here in Europe. It's an extraordinary opportunity you have to take advantage of. And so I would, I know that where Larry and I work, we see the investment opportunities and the investment scale is going up. The number of startups, as I mentioned earlier, that 2025, the largest investment year in VC history, over $100 billion around the world. Most of it was AI natives. And so these AI companies are building basically the application layer above. They're going to. and go build this future.
And I actually believe it's going to be a great investment for pension funds around the world to be a part of that, to grow with this AI world. And this is one of my messages to so many political leaders. We need to make sure that the average pensioner, the average saver is a part of that growth. If they're just watching it from the sidelines, they're going to feel left out.
And we want to invest in infrastructure.
Right.
Infrastructure is a great investment opportunity. This is the single largest infrastructure build out in human history. Get involved.
We're out of time. Hopefully everybody in the audience and everybody on the web streaming is seeing the power of Jensen Huang as a leader, not just a leader in technology and AI, but a leader in business and also a leader in heart.
Is his name Larry? That's Larry Fink.
Having that leadership from the heart and the soul. So
that's Larry
thank you, everyone. Thank you, everybody.
He's got I don't know what to say. All right, Jack Hamilton on a non-RAT matter. I hope all good. Thank you very much. We'll see. None of them can make me 18 again. Ward Richardson. So Corey likes Apple. I love listening to Jensen when he speaks. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Good evening, Bill. Hope all's well. Ward Richardson, I nominate Corey Brandolini. Don't forget about Marwan and Dr. Elliott, and I guess that's the people at the top. Nominate Corey Brandolini, the godfather of software. All agree. Say, I real think about that for a minute. Corey did what other 47 software developers did not do. That's true. Those two guys got together, wrote a white paper 6 years ago. I don't know how to describe it because I'm not a software engineer, but they knew these points of weakness in software development that they could address. But they also were early, and they intentionally were early on building. And I've shown you a couple of their charts where there's a gap in the development of all this AI stuff. I'll try to find it for tomorrow. I got to remember that. But they got in early, started it early, which is why they're public, because they needed to raise money. But they checked with Microsoft. That's in his videos. And I forget exactly how he put it, but they basically said, hey, are you doing this? No? I'm sure they made him sign something before they showed it to him. They said no. And he told me on the call, and it's not private information. They went out and made sure they got their intellectual property protected first. Then they got started. And Microsoft's their partner. Ward Richardson, it's very cold up here right now. Yeah, it's going to get cold this weekend. Hey, Red Pepperoni. I noticed we have 0.1 institutional ownership now, about 114,000 shares. Yeah, I don't know where those calculations come from, but that's exactly right. Whatever the number is, it's very small. And this is what I don't think you or anybody here, I'm not, on one hand, I'm not saying you don't have experience. I'm not saying I have great experience, but I would say that it's a long time since you've seen what happens when a real market gets started. That's my premise. Now, there's people out there that think that the stock price tells you all you need to know. You don't need to study anything. Just look at the chart. and it's over the counter. It's always bad, that kind of thing. There's also people that think that if it's so good, it should be up, because if it's so good, the story would get out and people would violate their confidentiality agreements, their non-competes, their standstill agreements. I don't know. Regardless of all that side thinking, the key with Railtown, my key thesis is, now I was wrong, I was wrong on the timing. We can all admit that. I was also wrong that AIP closing that deal was the critical news blockage. Apparently it wasn't. Didn't do anything. I think what it is tell us. And I think the whole story comes down to tell us. So, when you, Red Pepper Ronnie, when you see, I don't know when it's going to be. I would guess that it's mid-February, but it could be March. Here's my thinking, but this is the problem. People want certainty. I can't give you certainty. I can just give you get these little pieces and you put them together. In Railtown's monthly filing with the Canadian Stock Exchange, they said that rail engine would be completed by the end of the month. Well, by the end of January. Well, things sometimes take longer. Things sometimes are done more quickly. But a couple of things. If you figure that data center, which according to someone here, it's in the top 500, top 100, it's the best in Canada. That data center's been open for business. We know they have 3 customers, but they're probably just working the kinks out, making sure nothing goes wrong. Anyway, we know that that's there. That's been going on. I don't know how long it takes to do dry runs or make sure it works. I don't know any of that. None of us do. But if Railtown is the key component between the user and the power of the computer, maybe there's more than one. We have to learn that. But if it is the key component, the key layer, and you could run without it, but you don't want your customers to essentially take their new product out of the box. I mean, they're going to click on a computer and it doesn't work, they'll leave. So if you think about it, they're going to test, make sure that rail tracks, conductor, rail engine all work. Maybe that's what's going on in January. Who knows? Or maybe once it's completed, they still have to do that in February. I don't know. But anyway, to me, it's mid-February. But that doesn't mean I'm right. It could be any day. But then once they have that interface, if it is indeed critical or important, well, then they can go out to the world and say, we are ready to scale our customers as rapidly as they come. And it could get exciting very, very quickly, Red Pepper Ronnie. That institutional number, just imagine if Mavericks two, that's his second fund, decided to buy into this company. Now, they normally do private companies, apparently, but they also do investments in a $50 million range. That sounds like a lot. But what if they decide to buy 10% of Railtown? 5%. It's 10 million shares. And they start buying in the open market. When other institutions own that much, how's it going to work? The heaviness, the people that come make fun of me, and even Tony the Turtle knows that they walk down. He talks about it. Oh my gosh, look how many shares are short in AME. They've walked it down in December, he says. But then here, all of a sudden, his brain goes dead, and he doesn't recognize that. When institutions start buying, the institutions, many of them are adjuncts to the trading desks and the stock loan desks. They're not going to be allowing all this extra hypothecating and rehypothecating of shares. And you're going to see a real market. I would guess if Mavericks wanted to buy 10 million shares, it'd stutter at first, and maybe they can't buy until it's $2. I don't know. It'd stutter step as first. But once it started going, you'd probably have a $10 stock fairly quickly. Same with Omar's. So it's an interesting. I didn't see that number, but I knew it was a low number of institutions. I mean, I looked up the largest shareholders, and it was the insiders. And that's my whole point. There's a disconnect going on with Railtown. Now, many that come in my ear, not that many, handful of people. It's like, no, it's all bad. It's terrible. When are you going to give up? Well, okay, I get it, because that's what we've experienced in all these other stocks. But we're experiencing it here, which gives people a chance to buy. That's my opinion. Gives people a chance to buy. As soon as news or information is made broadly public, the institutions that know about the story and are precluded from buying can start buying. But the institutions who have yet to hear the story, guys like Canaccord, guys like Toronto Dominion, guys like Merrill Lynch Canada, guys like, name a Canadian investment fund, Moose's R Us, they can start soliciting orders from their institutions. So you're going to have institutions who know the story now, who are precluded from buying, and you're going to have institutions and retail who don't know the story, therefore are not buying it, but they're going to be able to be told the story, and they're going to be buying it. It's going to come through two vehicles: research and brokers calling them. It's going to change things. Ward Richardson, I could not remember their names. How many of them are there? What the heck was I talking about? What was I talking about? I could not remember their names. How many of them are there? Lord, I'm drawing a blank. Dice XXII. Dice takes too long. That means there's no chance of anything happening with this stock. You might as well sell it and put it all back into GME. It's the ultimate play. Sorry. Really? All right. Good luck with that. That's a great play. What's that doing now? It's treated you so well. It's treated you so well. 2169. I mean, that's much higher than I thought it would ever be, but that's because they've raised cash. I think that's the cash. Let me ask the computer. How much in cash per share at GameStop? 1971. I said that it was going to go to its cash value per share. They've brought the cash value up by issuing more, doing more deals, doing more shares with it. They got it done. So if you're in it, I don't know what you paid for it, but hey, it's 20. It's been this price forever. I guess you're right. It must be the ultimate play. MWQ8PC. Do you think the government may be looking at Railtown to provide synergies in the world of defense? I don't think they've heard of them. Canada doesn't have a huge defense department. But I think things like Rail Engine are going to be bought. Someone will buy them, like Microsoft or NVIDIA or Cohere or Tesla, and then they'll expand upon it. But if in defense, you're going to need that kind of. Now, I don't know how you protect the data centers, but I'm sure there's a way to do it. But it's going to be Skynet, you know. You're going to have to coordinate all those robots and drones and killing machines. And it's going to take Rail Engine. Dice XXI, it's stressful enough that you have to constantly beat the dead horse when it doesn't even blink anymore. Are you talking about GameStop? I mean, I don't know if you noticed Dice, the snake eyes. I don't know if you noticed anymore, but I don't know. I mean, you're the genius. You are the genius. So you might have noticed that your friend, this is Cohen. I'm sure he's a genius CEO, and I'm sure he doesn't work with the investment banks to place deals to raise money. As soon as Roaring Kitty gets it to $80, they do a deal. As soon as it's to $60, they do a deal. As soon as it's $38, they do a deal. As soon as it's $25, they do a deal. And I'm sure it's going to squeeze. I'm sure you're right. Dice. I mean, man, your thought process. You've convinced me, Dice. You're one smart fella. GameStop to shut a fifth of its 2,000 stores as retail apocalypse spreads. Yeah, it's a winning strategy. Founded as Babbage's, the company grew into the nation's largest specialist video game during the console boom bloody 25 years ago, 30 years ago. At its height, GameStop was a fixture of malls and strip centers. Midnight launches of Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto. And I'm sure they'll keep up with AI-generated games. The shift to digital downloads and online marketplaces hit the chain hard. No, they got a good business model. They're the play. And shopper numbers fell. By 2010, a bunch of criminals shorted the stock, but Wall Street viewed it as a struggling brick and mortar company, and they shorted the heck out of it. And then hedge funds bet millions, more than that it would go bankrupt, shutter its stores, and see its shares collapse. They just had to sell stock they didn't own. Instead, a loosely organized army of Reddit traders still listen to this Dice Clay crap from Wall Street bets piled into the stock, triggering a historic short squeeze that sent GameStop shares from 20, which is where it is now, to hundreds of dollars in a matter of days, still at 20. The surge allowed the company to raise fresh capital, and it got publicity. And then they attempted to reinvent the company. Oh, I'm sure it's the place to be. They put in Ryan Cohen, who was the co-founder of Chewy. They trimmed the stores, overhauled management, and then they tried to become a broader e-commerce and technology-focused retailer. Sure, that worked. Experimented with PC gaming gear, experimented with collectibles, experimented with cryptocurrency, never made profits. All about running the stock up so your friends can short stock into it and then do a placement with a hedge fund to cover the shorts and then earn fees, and you can come on here and tell us this is the place to be. But it's going to continue to serve a shrinking loyal base of gamers and collectors. Sounds like a hell of an idea. That just sounds like a hell of an idea. I've got to go with you, Dice. I'm glad you came on here, Dice, because man, you have a great idea there, GameStop. Whew, it's got to be GameStop's turn. Keep telling people to buy? Yeah, I do. There's one reason, Dice, Lang Chain, the closest comparable, in the summer and announced in October, priced the entire enterprise value of Lang Chain at $1.25 billion. Railtown's got better technology, my opinion, but I'm a sucker. Maybe it's not as good, but it's a huge market. Railtown has an elephant, a whale of a customer in TELUS, but Railtown right now is trading at $35 million according to Yahoo Finance enterprise value. So that is a reason to buy it. It's not beating a dead horse. It's taking advantage of what you guys are doing to the market cap of Railtown for your own short-term greed and your own short-term profit. Has nothing to do with what Railtown should be trading for. It's one way. By the way, that difference, it's about 35, a multiple of 35. I'm not going to go through the calculation because I don't think you care. But by 2028, Railtown's annual recurring revenue could be as high as $250 million per year forward 12 months, and growing. And what multiple do you put on that? 10? That's $2.5 billion. 20? It's $5 billion. 50? $11 billion? Let's just put $5 billion on it, because it'll be discounted to now. 5 billion divided by 214 million shares, 15 million, whatever number you want to use, approximately there. $115, we'll divide it by $23 a share. So damn straight I tell people to keep buying. Railtown is a mispriced stock because of you guys. It's not going to kill you because you're making so much money elsewhere. But here, for the people here and buying into it, I think if Railtown goes to $25 from here, it's 100x. It's a hell of a thing. Is GameStop going to give them 10x? No. $1 a week, and here we are. Jeremy Simmons. I don't know if you're trying in your sunglasses and your youth, you're trying to tell me something. I have over there my last year's calendar, and what you are leaving out is, it doesn't matter. If I repeat myself, you're not going to hear it. You're just going to be an asshole. So thank you. I've already admitted that I've been wrong in my predictions on the price. I'm not going to waste time explaining what the shortcut you're doing, the deception you're doing in your fudstering. It's not worth it. Dice, by the way, you definitely made money if you play the role of the Quaker oatmeal guy. Thanks. Who was the Quaker oatmeal guy? You're so funny, Dice. I can see why you're successful in life. What you have to do is bash. It's good. Just keep doing it. Not financial advice. Oh, no, of course not. Not you. You wouldn't do that. Ward, MWQ8PC, that's a very good question. They have a shot at it for sure. Let me see what the question was. Yeah, I agree with Ward and with your question, but I'm not sure. I think it's more likely that the Railtown piece will be on top of a Defense Department supercomputer, data center, or whatever. So yeah, I guess you're right. Jeremy Simmons, who's this? Sell $10 a share, okay, dude? No, you don't know. Why do you say $10 you sell? Well, you're a day trader. You want people's money hot. Let me show you something while you're young and cocky. The great philosopher Beth Dutton. When you go to war with someone, you want them emotional. You want them angry. The more they feel, the less they think. That's all you guys are trying to do. It's all you guys are trying to do. And I've got to fight that. When it comes, I got to fight it. Because that's what Tony's going to do. When this is $5 or $10, they're going to say, oh, you should take your profit and go into AME. How many developers are at RT? I don't know. When I Googled it, they said 25 to 50. I don't know the answer. I never asked. I heard that they had 1 or 2 floors at their office building full of developers. I know that they're light on management and they're light on overhead on top of it because they devote their resources to their engineers, but I don't know the answer. Don't know the answer. So you're saying GameStop will reach 68? No, I'm not. I think Railtown could reach 60 to 80. But the problem is if Railtown is purchased, let's say by Microsoft at $15, it might reach 60 or 80 inside of Microsoft. So it's we don't know yet how it's going to play out. Wow, the great William Fartsand. Oh, that's clever. Making the best prediction I've heard since this channel started. You're clever. Dice X, we're going to post this on X. We're going to be so fucking rich. I wouldn't buy GameStop. All right, I got to the bottom of you. I don't know who you are, but you're gone now. Donna M. Ward 7274. Yeah, Virginia, it's going to be cold and it's going to be, Donna, apparently it's going to be so tough up here that if you go out without a hat, which I usually do, or if you go out kind of just dashing to the store without enough layers on, you can get caught and be put at risk. They also said you should wear wool, not cotton. I'm allergic to wool. But if you sweat in cotton, it stays wet and it could freeze. It's going to be really bad, apparently. Ward Richardson. Yes, Donna, it's going to get ugly here. All right. I guess it's a good sign that the bashers are still here trying to hit the story. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. I wish everybody a good night. It's 9:30. I think Djokovic starts playing right about now. I don't have, I slashed my monthly, so I think I can listen to it on YouTube. Let me just see. But that'll be something to do. The Mets traded for Freddie Peralta. That means the Dodgers aren't getting him. Is that true? I don't believe it. Oh, they're in conversations about Freddie Peralta. Mets and Brewers. Pat Ragazzo from Sports Illustrated and John Heyman from the New York Post. There's no deal in place, but talks are serious. Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat to the Brewers. And Tobias Myers. Oh, it's interesting. All right, so I'm going to say good night. Good night, Donna. I want to see if the Joker is playing right now. And I guess he's not yet. But I think right now, 9:30, or right about now, he's playing in the Australian Open. All right, I'm going to say over and out. I wish peace to everybody. And we'll talk 2:30 maybe tomorrow afternoon. All right, cheers.